Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by saying sometimes the hardest thing you'll ever have to do in life is to walk away. Not because you don't care, but because you finally realize that you're worth more than the situation that you're in. You're worth more than the people who don't see your value. You're worth more than the endless efforts you put into something or someone who doesn't appreciate you. And sometimes the only way to show them that you're worthy of respect, love, and recognition is to walk away. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was, it wouldn't carry the weight of the decision that will eventually lead to your growth. But let me tell you something, walking away isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. The true test of your character lies not in how long you're willing to endure disrespect, but in your ability to walk away and never look back. We live in a world that sometimes gets so caught up in the idea of pleasing others that we forget to ask ourselves the most important question: what do I need to feel valued? The truth is, you don't need anyone else to validate your worth. Your worth was determined the moment you were born. But the reality is, sometimes you're going to find yourself in situations, in relationships, or in jobs where you're giving, and all you get in return is emptiness. You're putting in your best, your time, your energy, your soul, and yet it feels like you're just not being seen. It feels like you're invisible, like your efforts don't matter. And let me be clear, that's not a reflection of you. That's a reflection of the people, the environment, or the situation you're in. When people don't appreciate what you bring to the table, they're not recognizing your value, but it doesn't change the fact that you are valuable. It just means that it's time to reevaluate. It's time to step back and ask yourself, why am I here? What am I doing? Am I being treated the way I deserve to be treated? We've all been there. We've all given so much of ourselves expecting, hoping that the other person will appreciate it, hoping they'll see us for who we really are, hoping that our efforts will be recognized, our sacrifices acknowledged, our love reciprocated. But there comes a point when you realize that your worth is not something that should be up for negotiation. You don't need to earn the right to be treated with respect, to be treated with kindness, to be valued for the person you are. And here's the hard truth. If you stay in a situation where you're not being appreciated, where you're not being respected, you're telling the universe that you're okay with being undervalued. You're telling people that it's okay to treat you poorly because you're sticking around for it. Now, that doesn't mean you quit every time things get tough, but it does mean that you recognize when it's no longer worth it. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself. Sometimes walking away is the only way to protect your peace, your self-worth, and your future. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what about loyalty? What about commitment? And I get it. We've been taught that quitting is a failure, that walking away is for the weak. But here's the thing. Loyalty doesn't mean sacrificing your happiness. Commitment doesn't mean staying in something that is breaking you down. Sometimes the best way to show loyalty is to show up for yourself first. Sometimes the most committed thing you can do is to say, I deserve better, and walk away. It's easy to get caught up in the fear of what might happen if we walk away. We fear rejection. We fear the unknown. We fear being alone. We fear losing what we've worked for. But let me tell you something about fear. Fear is a liar. Fear will tell you that you can't do it, that you're not strong enough, that you'll never find something better. But you know what fear won't tell you? It won't tell you that the moment you choose to walk away, you're opening yourself up to something greater. You're making space for better opportunities, for relationships that honor your worth, for a future that values what you bring to the table. You see, when you keep holding on to something that's not serving you, you're blocking your own blessings. It's like holding onto a broken door, expecting it to open to something better. But sometimes, in order to walk into a room that's meant for you, you've got to let go of the one that's not. You've got to stop being afraid of change. Stop being afraid of letting go. There's a world out there waiting for you to step into it. But you'll never get there if you keep holding on to something or someone who doesn't value you. And don't be afraid to walk away because of what others might think. Don't let people's opinions or judgments keep you stuck. People will always have something to say, especially when they don't understand your journey. But their words don't define you. Your actions do. So be strong enough to walk away even if others don't get it. You are not a prisoner to anyone else's expectations, to anyone else's opinion of you. or to anyone else's view of your worth. You are in control of your own destiny. You have the power to choose what you tolerate, what you accept, and what you allow into your life. And if you don't feel appreciated, then walk away. Let go of anything that isn't contributing to your growth, anything that isn't building you up, anything that's holding you back from becoming the best version of yourself. But I want you to hear me clearly when I say this. Walking away doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you're quitting. It means you're choosing to walk into a life that is aligned with your values, your goals, your dreams. It means you're taking a stand for yourself, and sometimes that's the most powerful decision you can make. You have to believe that there's something better for you, and that walking away is not a defeat, but a victory in itself. It's a victory because you're saying to yourself, I will not settle for less than what I deserve. It's a victory because you're choosing to honor yourself, your time, your energy, and your heart. And when you do that, you give yourself permission to move forward, to grow, to evolve. You give yourself permission to be free. I want you to think about what it means to truly walk away, to leave behind what no longer serves you, to step away from the situations and people who drain you, who take more than they give, who leave you feeling empty. When you walk away, you're walking towards something better. And you have to trust that whatever that is, it will be worth it. Sometimes you won't even know what's waiting for you, but that's okay. The unknown is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Because in the unknown, there is always room for growth. Remember, your worth is not determined by the people who fail to see it. Your worth is not determined by the job that doesn't recognize your effort. Your worth is not determined by the relationships that take but never give. Your worth is determined by you and you alone. And when you walk away, you are honoring your worth. You are telling yourself that you deserve more. You deserve respect. You deserve love. You deserve peace. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're not appreciated, when you're giving and getting nothing in return, when you're being drained emotionally, physically, or mentally, walk away. Walk away with your head held high. Walk away knowing that you have nothing to prove to anyone but yourself. Walk away knowing that you are doing what's best for you. And that's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, the only person who has to live with the consequences of your decisions is you. The choice is yours. Don't be afraid to make it. Your future self will thank you for it. Your value is inherent and should not be determined by others' inability to appreciate it. Walking away is about recognizing and protecting your self-worth, knowing when to set boundaries in situations where you are not being valued. Walking away from people, situations, or relationships that drain you is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of strength. It's about choosing yourself and your peace over staying in circumstances that aren't conducive to your growth. Fear often holds people back from walking away, but fear is a liar. The unknown can be daunting, but it's essential to embrace change, trust the process, and have the courage to let go of what no longer serves you. Loyalty does not mean sacrificing your happiness or well-being for others. The most loyal thing you can do is to be true to yourself, prioritize your needs, and walk away from situations that aren't bringing out the best in you. Walking away creates space for better opportunities, relationships, and personal growth. By removing what's toxic or unappreciative, you open doors to new possibilities that align with your values and contribute to your future success. Self-worth is an intrinsic quality, something that comes from within and is not defined by external factors. It is not dependent on other people's opinions, the accolades you receive, or the recognition you gain. It is rooted in who you are as a person, your values, your character, your unique strengths, and your ability to navigate life with integrity. In many ways, self-worth is the foundation upon which all other aspects of your life rest. If your sense of worth is shaky or undefined, every decision, every relationship, and every choice will be influenced by that lack of clarity. When we talk about self-worth, we're talking about your understanding of your own value. This is an essential part of your well-being because if you don't believe in your own worth, it's easy to find yourself stuck in situations where you're undervalued or taken for granted. It becomes harder to set boundaries and to stand up for what you need in relationships, work, and personal interactions. Without a clear understanding of your worth, you can end up allowing others to treat you poorly, to walk all over you, and to drain your energy without realizing how much you're compromising yourself in the process. One of the most important things you can do for yourself is to establish a firm sense of self-worth. This doesn't mean being arrogant or prideful, but rather understanding that you are deserving of respect, love, and appreciation simply because you exist. Your worth isn't based on how much you accomplish or how others see you. It's inherent in the person you are, and it can't be taken away by others. This sense of value gives you the strength to make decisions that align with your well-being, to walk away from situations that aren't serving you, and to confidently demand the respect and treatment you deserve. It is in this recognition of self-worth that boundaries become crucial. Boundaries are the limits we set to protect our emotional, physical, and mental well-being. They are the lines we draw in the sand to indicate what is acceptable and what isn't in our relationships, work, and daily interactions. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness or cruelty. It's an act of self-respect. It's saying, I know what I deserve, and I'm not going to accept less than that. Boundaries are essential for maintaining a healthy balance in life. Without them, we can find ourselves overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and feeling lost in the chaos of others' demands. When you have a strong sense of self-worth, you can easily recognize when your boundaries are being violated. You can see when someone is taking advantage of you, when they are asking too much of your time, your energy, or your resources, and when they are not treating you with the respect you deserve. With self-worth comes the confidence to say no without feeling guilty, to remove yourself from situations that leave you feeling drained, and to demand that others respect your limits. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear conflict or rejection. They fear that saying no will make them seem rude, unkind, or unhelpful, but the truth is, not setting boundaries is what's truly unkind to yourself. It's allowing others to cross lines that leave you emotionally exhausted, depleted, and resentful. It's sacrificing your peace in the name of trying to please others or meet their expectations. When you don't set boundaries, you end up losing yourself, becoming a version of yourself that is constantly accommodating everyone else at the expense of your own happiness and well-being. In relationships, setting boundaries is essential to maintaining a sense of balance. Whether in romantic relationships, friendships, or family dynamics, it's important to communicate your needs clearly and assertively. You need to be able to say what is acceptable to you and what isn't without fear of rejection or judgment. If someone truly values you, they will respect your boundaries. If they don't, that's a clear sign that the relationship isn't healthy or balanced. Too often we stay in toxic relationships because we fear being alone or we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. But staying in a relationship where your boundaries are constantly being crossed is ultimately damaging to your sense of self-worth. Think about the times in your life when you've allowed your boundaries to be ignored. Maybe you've stayed in a job where your efforts weren't recognized, or you've stayed in a friendship where you were always the one giving, but never receiving. Perhaps you've been in a romantic relationship where your needs were neglected, and you were constantly making sacrifices for the other person. In these situations, it's easy to lose sight of your own value. You start to believe that you don't deserve better, that this is the best you can do, or that the relationship is worth sacrificing for. But the truth is, you do deserve better. You deserve respect. You deserve appreciation. And the only way to claim that is by recognizing your self-worth and setting boundaries that protect your peace. Setting boundaries doesn't just apply to others, it also applies to yourself. Sometimes we are our worst enemies when it comes to respecting our limits. We push ourselves too hard, we take on too much, and we neglect our own needs because we believe we should always be doing more. But in reality, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give your best to others if you're not taking care of yourself. Self-care is a vital part of setting boundaries. It's taking time to rest, recharge, and nurture your own mental, emotional, and physical health. When you make self-care a priority, you're not being selfish, you're investing in your own well-being, which enables you to show up better for others and for yourself. The practice of setting boundaries also extends to how we allow others to treat us. When you value yourself, you start to recognize the ways in which people either uplift or diminish you. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, ignores your needs, or takes advantage of your kindness, you need to acknowledge that this behavior isn't acceptable. Your boundaries are there to protect you from people who drain your energy, undermine your confidence, or exploit your good nature. And in doing so, you'll create a life that aligns with the respect and love you deserve. But it's not just about the actions of others. Setting boundaries also means being mindful of how you allow yourself to show up in the world. It's about knowing when to say no to things that don't align with your values or your goals. It's about making conscious choices about where you invest your time and energy. If you're constantly saying yes to things that deplete you, you're saying no to the things that truly matter: your growth, your peace, your happiness. Being able to say no when necessary is a sign of strength, not weakness. It shows that you're willing to prioritize what truly matters to you, and that you have enough self-respect to protect your time and energy. As you strengthen your sense of self-worth and practice setting boundaries, you'll notice a shift in your life. You'll attract people who respect you, who appreciate your time and energy, and who are willing to meet you halfway. You'll create environments that support your growth, both personally and professionally. And most importantly, you'll begin to feel more aligned with your true self, empowered to make choices that reflect your worth, your values, and your goals. But remember, this process takes time. It's not an overnight transformation. Strengthening your sense of self-worth and setting boundaries is a continual practice, one that requires self-awareness, patience, and consistency. You'll make mistakes along the way. You'll slip back into old patterns of self-sacrifice or people-pleasing. But that's okay. The key is to keep going, to keep reminding yourself of your value, and to keep enforcing the boundaries that protect your well-being. In the end, your self-worth is your greatest asset. It's the foundation that supports everything you do, and the stronger you make it, the better your life will be. With a firm sense of self-worth and clear boundaries in place, you'll create a life where you are treated with the respect, love, and appreciation you deserve. And that is a life worth living. There's an undeniable strength that comes with the decision to walk away from a situation, a person, or even an entire chapter of your life. It's a strength that doesn't always make sense at first, especially when the world tells you that sticking around, enduring, and fighting for what you want is the way to success. But true strength, the kind that builds character and propels you toward personal growth, lies in the ability to recognize when something is no longer serving you and to have the courage to walk away without looking back. Walking away requires a deep level of self-awareness. It's easy to stay in situations that are familiar, even when they're toxic, draining, or no longer aligned with who you are becoming. Our minds often seek comfort, even at the expense of our peace or well-being. But there comes a point when the cost of staying outweighs the potential benefit of holding on. The strength to walk away comes when you fully acknowledge that staying in a certain job, relationship, friendship, or even lifestyle is doing you more harm than good. You realize that in order to grow, to become the best version of yourself, you must make the hard choice to leave behind what is not meant for you. At times, walking away can feel like an act of surrender, but in reality, it's an act of reclaiming your power. When you choose to leave a situation that no longer serves you, you're not giving up. You're stepping into a new phase of your life where you recognize your worth and refuse to settle for less. Walking away is about saying no to the familiar discomfort of what you've always known in exchange for the unknown possibility of something better. It's about releasing the fear that keeps you stagnant and stepping into the unknown where growth and opportunity wait. For many, the idea of walking away can be terrifying. There's a fear of failure, of judgment, of what people will say or think. We worry about being seen as weak or quitting too soon. Society often places value on endurance, on pushing through pain, on fighting for what you want. But this narrative does not always serve us. Walking away is not the same as quitting. Quitting implies giving up without reason or without understanding. Walking away, on the other hand, is a conscious choice that requires strength. It's about recognizing that staying in a harmful situation is not beneficial to your health, your happiness, or your future. It's a decision that comes from a place of clarity, self-respect, and a deep understanding of your own value. When you walk away, you're telling yourself and the world that you believe in your own worth enough to say no to things that don't serve you. It's an act of self-respect because you are refusing to allow anyone or anything to diminish your sense of self. It takes courage to stand up for yourself, especially when the circumstances around you pressure you to stay. The people in your life may not understand why you're walking away. They may have their own opinions, judgments, and advice, but ultimately, their opinions don't matter. What matters is your peace, your happiness, and your future. The people who truly care about you will respect your decision, even if they don't fully understand it. At times, walking away means leaving behind what you've worked for, what you've invested your time, energy, and emotions into. It's hard to walk away when you've already given so much of yourself to something. The mind can convince you that if you walk away, all of that effort will have been in vain. But the truth is, walking away doesn't erase the effort you've made. It doesn't diminish the lessons you've learned along the way. It simply means you're ready for something more aligned with your values, something that will take you closer to the life you truly want. There is strength in letting go of what no longer serves you. Walking away frees up the space in your life for what is meant for you. If you keep holding on to the wrong people, the wrong situations, or the wrong mindset, you're preventing yourself from stepping into new opportunities. You're blocking your own blessings. The act of walking away is not just about leaving something behind. It's about making room for new beginnings. When you release what is no longer for you, you create space for growth, for new experiences, and for people who will appreciate and value you in the way you deserve. Walking away also requires a level of trust in yourself, and trust that the decision you're making is in your best interest. Sometimes it's easy to second-guess yourself, to doubt your decision and wonder if you're making a mistake. But deep down, you know when something isn't right for you. You can feel it in your gut when a relationship is toxic, when a job is draining you, or when a dream is no longer yours to chase. Trusting yourself means listening to that inner voice, the one that knows you deserve better. It's about having the faith to know that by walking away, you are not losing anything, you are gaining everything. And let's not forget that walking away isn't always a one-time decision. Sometimes it's a series of small, yet powerful decisions that accumulate over time. It's the ability to walk away from a situation that is constantly draining your energy, even if that means walking away again and again. Maybe you find yourself in a relationship where the other person is not treating you well. The first time you walk away, you might return because you fear being alone or because you hope things will change. But the real strength lies in walking away again when you realize that things haven't changed, that you are still not being treated with the respect and care you deserve. It's about refusing to settle for less than what you know you are worthy of. This strength also extends to your relationship with yourself. Walking away isn't just about leaving other people behind, it's also about leaving behind negative thought patterns, self-doubt, and limiting beliefs. How often do we hold on to old patterns of behavior that no longer serve us? How often do we stay stuck in our own heads, believing that we are not worthy of better or that we are incapable of making a change? The true strength of walking away begins with walking away from self-limiting beliefs. It's the realization that you have the power to change your mindset, to change the trajectory of your life, and to refuse to settle for anything less than your full potential. When you walk away, you are sending a message to the universe that you are ready for something greater. The moment you let go of what isn't meant for you, you open yourself up to what is. You create the space for new people, new opportunities, and new experiences to enter your life. Walking away from a relationship, a job, or a situation is a powerful act of self-love. It's a way of saying, I am worthy of more, and I believe that something better is waiting for me. It's an affirmation that you are not afraid of the unknown, and that you are not willing to stay in a situation just because it is familiar or comfortable. This strength is not always celebrated, especially in a culture that often values perseverance above all else. We are taught to fight through difficulties, to push through adversity, and to never give up. But there is wisdom in knowing when enough is enough. The greatest strength is not in the ability to endure suffering, but in the ability to recognize when it's time to step away and seek something better. It's a strength rooted in self-respect, in self-love, and in the knowledge that you are deserving of peace, happiness, and fulfillment. When you walk away, you are taking control of your destiny. You are no longer a passive participant in your own life, accepting whatever comes your way. You are actively choosing the path that is right for you. And by doing so, you create a life that reflects your values, your goals, and your dreams. Walking away is an act of empowerment. It's a declaration that you are in control of your own life and that you are willing to do what it takes to honor yourself and your well-being. The strength to walk away is the strength to walk toward a brighter, more fulfilling future. And that is a strength worth embracing. Fear is a powerful force. It has the ability to paralyze you, to keep you stuck in situations that don't serve you, to make you question your decisions, and to prevent you from moving forward. But fear, in many ways, is nothing more than a construct of the mind. It's a response to the unknown, to uncertainty, and to the potential for failure. And while fear is natural, it doesn't have to control your life. In fact, the act of letting go of fear is one of the most liberating and empowering things you can do. Fear keeps us comfortable in the familiar, even if that familiarity is toxic, stagnant, or unfulfilling. It is the reason many people stay in bad relationships, jobs they hate, or lives that don't align with their true potential. Fear tells us that the unknown is dangerous, that change is risky, that we might fail if we try something new. But what fear doesn't tell you is that staying where you are, staying in the same place out of fear, is often far more dangerous than the unknown. When we allow fear to dictate our actions, we essentially give up our power. We allow ourselves to remain in situations that aren't right for us simply because we're too afraid to take that first step into something new. Letting go of fear doesn't mean eliminating it entirely. Fear is a part of the human experience. It is a natural response to uncertainty, to new challenges, and to growth. In fact, fear can be a useful tool. It alerts you to potential dangers, helps you assess risk, and encourages you to make thoughtful decisions. However, when fear becomes overwhelming, when it paralyzes you and keeps you from living authentically, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's when you need to learn how to let go of it. The first step in letting go of fear is recognizing that fear is often rooted in something that doesn't even exist. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of not being good enough, these are all fears that come from our own minds. We fear what might happen in the future, but in reality, most of the things we fear never actually happen. Our minds have a tendency to catastrophize, to imagine the worst case scenario, and then to convince us that this scenario is inevitable. But the truth is, most of the time, the fear we experience is not a reflection of reality. It is a projection of our anxieties, our insecurities, and our doubts. Once you recognize that fear is often just a product of your mind, you can begin to question its validity. Ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of? Is it the possibility of failure? Is it the fear of stepping into the unknown? Or is it simply the fear of being judged by others? Once you identify the root of your fear, you can start to rationalize it. Is it really as scary as it seems? What's the worst that could happen? And is that something you can handle? More often than not, the worst case scenario is not nearly as devastating as your mind makes it out to be. Fear thrives on uncertainty, and the more you shine a light on it, the less power it has over you. Another key part of letting go of fear is learning to embrace discomfort. Fear often arises because we are stepping outside our comfort zone, doing something unfamiliar, or moving into a place where we feel uncertain or unprepared. But growth never happens inside the comfort zone. It is in the discomfort of taking risks, trying new things, and stepping into the unknown that we truly expand. When we allow fear to hold us back, we limit our potential for growth. It's easy to stay in the known, to do what feels safe, but that's where life becomes stagnant. If you want to grow, to evolve, to become the person you were always meant to be, you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone and into the unknown, even if it means feeling afraid along the way. The fear of failure is one of the most common fears people face. We fear making mistakes, falling short of expectations, and not measuring up to the standards we set for ourselves or that others set for us. But failure is not something to fear. Failure is a natural part of the learning process. It's how we grow, how we refine our skills, and how we become better versions of ourselves. Every successful person, every innovator, every leader has failed at some point. Failure is not the end, it's simply a stepping stone on the path to success. Letting go of the fear of failure means embracing the idea that mistakes are not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of your courage to try. When you stop fearing failure, you free yourself to take bold actions, to learn from your mistakes, and to keep moving forward. The fear of judgment is another powerful force that keeps many people from living authentically. We fear what others might think of us, how they might perceive our actions, or whether they'll approve of the choices we make. But the truth is, no matter what you do, there will always be people who judge you. Some will criticize you for stepping outside the norm, while others will criticize you for not doing enough. The only person whose judgment truly matters is your own. Letting go of the fear of judgment means giving yourself permission to be true to who you are, to live in alignment with your values and your purpose, regardless of what others think. It's about embracing your individuality, your uniqueness, and your ability to make decisions that are right for you, even if they don't conform to others' expectations. Letting go of fear also means learning to trust yourself. Fear often stems from a lack of confidence, from the belief that you're not capable of handling whatever comes your way, but you are capable. You've faced challenges before and you've made it through. You have the strength, the resilience, and the intelligence to navigate whatever life throws at you. When you trust yourself, you can move through fear with a sense of calm and confidence. Trusting yourself means believing in your own abilities, even when the path ahead is unclear. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you will be okay. You have the resources, the mindset, and the tools to handle whatever challenges arise. One of the most empowering ways to let go of fear is to focus on the present moment. Fear often comes from imagining what might happen in the future, especially when we project our anxieties onto that future. But the future is uncertain, and we have no control over it. What we do have control over is the present moment. When you learn to be fully present in the here and now, fear loses its grip on you. Instead of worrying about what might go wrong, you focus on what you can do right now to move forward, to take action, and to create the life you want. Being present helps you recognize that fear is often just a story we tell ourselves, and that in the present moment, we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. Finally, letting go of fear means letting go of perfectionism. Many people fear that they won't measure up, that they won't be good enough, or that their efforts won't be perfect, but perfection is an illusion. It's a moving target, an unattainable standard that only leads to frustration and self-doubt. The truth is, no one is perfect, and that's okay. Letting go of perfectionism means accepting that mistakes will happen, things won't always go as planned, and you'll make errors along the way. But none of that diminishes your value or your ability to achieve your goals. Embracing imperfection frees you to take action, to make mistakes, and to grow without being held back by the fear of not being perfect. Letting go of fear is a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and self-compassion. But the more you practice letting go of fear, the more freedom you'll experience. You'll begin to trust yourself more, embrace uncertainty with open arms, and live more fully in the present moment. Fear will no longer control you. Instead, you will learn to move through it with grace, courage, and confidence. And when that happens, you'll find that the life you've been afraid to step into is the life that awaits you on the other side of fear. Loyalty to yourself is one of the most important yet often overlooked principles in life. It means honoring your own needs, values, and well-being and placing them at the center of your decisions. In a world that constantly pulls us in many different directions, it's easy to lose sight of ourselves, to become so focused on pleasing others or fulfilling external expectations that we forget the most essential relationship we need to nurture is the one we have with ourselves. True loyalty to yourself isn't about selfishness or self-centeredness. It's about self-respect, self-love, and the unwavering commitment to stay true to who you are, regardless of what others may think, say, or expect of you. When we talk about loyalty, we often think about being loyal to others, loyalty in friendships, loyalty in romantic relationships, loyalty to our families or our employers. These are all important aspects of our lives, and loyalty in these contexts is crucial for building trust, maintaining healthy relationships, and creating strong bonds. But the truth is, loyalty to others starts with loyalty to yourself. Without that foundation, it's easy to give too much of yourself away, to sacrifice your own happiness for the sake of others, and to lose yourself in the process. Loyalty to yourself is the bedrock upon which all other forms of loyalty rest. If you don't honor your own needs, you'll find yourself drained, exhausted, and resentful. And over time, this lack of self-loyalty will erode the relationships you value most. At the core of loyalty to yourself is the understanding that you are worthy of respect, care, and attention, not because of anything you do, but simply because you are you. Your worth is inherent, and no external achievement, validation, or approval can change that. When you're loyal to yourself, you refuse to compromise on your values or sell yourself short in any area of your life. You acknowledge that your dreams, your feelings, and your needs matter, and you make decisions based on what's best for you rather than on what's easiest or what others expect of you. One of the first steps in being loyal to yourself is setting boundaries. Boundaries are a reflection of your self-respect. They are the limits you establish to protect your energy, your time, and your emotional well-being. When you're loyal to yourself, you don't allow others to overstep those boundaries. You make it clear through your words and actions that your peace is non-negotiable. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or being harsh. They are about protecting your inner world from being overwhelmed by the demands and expectations of others. It's about saying no when you need to without guilt or explanation. It's about understanding that your time, your energy, and your emotions are valuable and that you have the right to control how they are used. Setting boundaries can be difficult, especially if you're used to putting others' needs before your own. You may feel guilty for saying no, or you may worry that others will think you're being selfish. But here's the truth: the more you give without boundaries, the more you deplete yourself. If you're always saying yes to others, you're saying no to yourself. You're saying no to your own needs, your own needs, your own goals, and your own happiness. And over time, this imbalance can lead to resentment, burnout, and even a loss of your sense of self. Loyalty to yourself means learning to say no when you need to and recognizing that doing so isn't an act of selfishness, but of self-preservation.